Am I the hole for taking my clothes off at the Cheesecake Factory? So me. To 3F and my BF. 2-4M were celebrating our 1-year anniversary and went out to dinner to celebrate. My BF planned it as he knows how much I love the Cheesecake Factory. I really love their cheesecake. This becomes important later. Well, everything was going fine, and we were having a good time until an elderly man at the next table scooted his chair out just as our server was approaching, causing him to stumble and spill hot coffee on me down my back. It was obviously burning and startled me, so I instinctively screamed and pulled my shirt up. I'm pretty small-chested, so I don't typically wear a bra, and obviously I wasn't thinking about that when something hot was running down my back burning me. So I basically flashed all those at the tables round us. Yes, I was embarrassed, but at the same time it's just boobs. I pulled my shirt back down right after realizing what happened, but it was up for about 15 seconds. The server apologized over and over, but it wasn't their fault, it was all just an accident. Well, anyway, after this my BF wanted to leave, like immediately leave. He said that I was being overdramatic for the way I reacted in the situation, and maybe I was, but it did startle me really bad. And it did burn. He told me I had put on a show for everyone in the restaurant, especially since I screamed when it happened, and that we need to leave. I told him it's not that big a deal and that I really want to stay to get cheesecake because it's my favorite. I eventually even offered to try to get some to go, and he was dead set that we need to leave and didn't understand why I wasn't mortified. We ended up staying, but for the rest of the date he kept saying that the men at tables near us were staring at me and probably thinking about me inappropriately, but I said it wasn't my problem if they're being gross. When we got in the car he told me I ruined our anniversary for making him sit through that and we should have just left, and that he can't believe I would choose a piece of cheesecake over his comfortability. We argued in the car the whole way home about it, and now we haven't spoken at all today. Am I the a-hole? Some comments said, not the a-hole, and I would rethink the boyfriend if he cares more about people potentially getting a glimpse of your chest than about the fact that your back was just burned. I'm sorry, but I would dump anyone who put their embarrassment over my well-being after having scalding hot coffee dumped on me. He told me he can't believe I would choose a piece of cheesecake over his comfortability. I mean, he'd rather you get burned by scalding hot coffee than accidentally flash your boobs for a moment. He put his "oh no, boobs" freak out over your well-being. So, there's that. Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for refusing to wear a skimpy maid outfit to an exclusive party my friend got invited to? So I 2F live with my friend 2F, and she recently met a guy at a beach party. She's pretty much obsessed with him because he comes from a well-known, well-off family in the area and has a certain level of status associated with him. She told me they were sort of dating, and obviously I've been supportive throughout it all, as a friend. However, I've met him a few times, and I don't exactly hold favorable opinions of him. I didn't tell my friend because I wasn't fully sure of my views yet, and I didn't want to be negative. Anyway, he's throwing a party soon and invited my friend. He asked her to bring me along too. He said it was a themed party and that everyone would be assigned a character style to wear. He sent my friend a picture of our outfits. The skimpy as hell made costumes sprawled on a bed. I immediately told her that I wouldn't be wearing that shit, and especially not to a party with a bunch of strangers. Initially she thought I was kidding, but then understood that I'm serious. She said that wearing these fits isn't a big deal at all and that I need to stop being so prudish and serious. I told her that it is very humiliating that this guy thinks it's perfectly fine to request to women to wear that to his party, like you're seriously asking to girls who are clearly not as rich as you to dress up as maids to your party. I asked her if she seriously sees nothing wrong with it, and she said no. She explained that he just has a weird taste and that it might be a weird rich people thing. I told her again that I will not be wearing some skimpy-ass maid costume. Not only is it embarrassing, it is especially disrespectful to me because I don't have any sort of meaningful relationship with the guy, and yet he thought it's appropriate to include me in this request. I told her that I won't be wearing the clothes, won't be going to the party, and will from now on avoid her new BF altogether. We had a massive argument, and she said that I'm lame, boring, and not a supportive friend. She said that instead of helping her, I'm ruining everything and being a killjoy. When she fed back to the guy that I'm refusing to participate, he even asked her if getting paid for it would change my mind. That made it even worse. Apparently he told her that I have the right attitude, which makes no sense, as I've been combative all this time, and that his friends would love to get to know me. The fact I'm just getting angry typing this. He was pretty upset and told my dad about the situation. The party is tomorrow night, and my friend decided to go alone. And she's not really talking to me. Am I the asshole? Or is she? I feel strangely very guilty even though I'm standing up for my boundaries. Am I the a-hole? Some comments said, not the hole. There is a 98% chance that this is a sex party and he was hoping you two would be the entertainment. The other 2% is that it is not a sex party, but you two would still be the entertainment. Not the hole, and that guy has seriously crappy danger vibes written all over him. He's the bad guy from a frat house movie. Not the hole. Rich famous guy, creepy friends, maid outfits, and familiar area equals one of those creepy Lifetime movies and several felonies. Am I the a-hole for cleaning my horse's penis in front of my friend? I'm going to reduce this post to the basics and hope it dies down because I'm sick of people sexualizing my horse. I 23F have a horse. My friend 23 meters was at the stables with me. I noticed my horse's sheath was getting bad, so I decided to clean it. I didn't warn my friend and he was freaked out. Since then, he has ignored me. Am I the a-hole? No a-holes here. It's needed care for a gelding's health. That said, while there is nothing wrong with providing that care, it is probably best done when you don't have a non-horse person with you, as it can clearly be taken the wrong way. Horse girls never beating the weird allegations. Lamau. No a-holes here, but for the love of God explain yourself beforehand next time. No a-holes here. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it isn't gross. If you were holding your baby instead and suddenly put it down and changed a poopy diaper in front of him, it would be similar. Nothing wrong with it, but maybe something he doesn't want to see. Am I the a-hole for starting my wedding ceremony before my mom showed up? The day of the wedding started out as they normally do. Our bride was inside getting ready and final touches were being made outside. After I was almost ready by noon, my mom had to run back to the hotel 20 minutes away to change and come back with my grandma and family friend. The invitation says ceremony at 2. As per usual, we were a little late starting, but nothing crazy. Next thing I know, I'm walking myself down the aisle with no mom, grandma, or family friend in sight. The ceremony continues and it's over before we know it. Still nothing. After 45 minutes, finally they pull up. Then I proceed to go and tell them it's over and that they missed it and that to men too. My mother immediately became hostile and proceeded to blame the bakery for not having buns ready. Then said they were stopped by a train, and my personal favorite was, it's your fault you didn't call our text to see where we are. Excuse me. Again, the invitation said to dot. Also note the officiant also had another wedding to get to after mine, so it was a tight schedule. So am I the asshole for not holding up my ceremony? Side note, I found out the real reason why they were late. She wasn't done getting herself ready, therefore holding up everyone. But she is mad at me because it's my fault. Some comments said, not the a-hole. They had time to stop at a bakery. They had no intention of being on time. They expected their presence meant more to you than it did and are mad to see that they aren't as important in real life as their own mind. Not the a-hole. And it seems that your mom is a bit of a diva and wanted to make a grand look at me. Late entrance. You did right by your pastor, your guests, and anyone else involved with your ceremony. Go low contact for a bit under. She musters up enough humanity to see she was wrong. Not the a-hole. Her lack of planning caused her to miss her own daughter's wedding. There's a moment nobody will forget for a long time. Am I the a-hole for reminding my ex I'm only responsible for our children and not all of his kids? My ex-husband 40M and I 35F have 2 children together, 1,211 meters. We divorced about 10 years ago now because I feel like he regressed as a husband and a father during my second pregnancy, and he was even worse when our younger son was born. He was acting like a high school or college kid or a single 20-something with no kids. He spent more time with friends than with us. His friends were also treating me more like his mom and expecting me to pick him up from their houses when they needed to get on with stuff. He fought for 50% custody of our kids, which he wasn't given, and for the first 2 or 3 years he had every other weekend and a 2-week period during the summer with them, as well as alternating holidays. He started being more involved and eventually he did get 50% custody. It was at that time I found out he got some woman pregnant, and he realized with 3 kids he needed to get his act together. He ended up with full custody of his 3rd child. Then he met his wife. They have 2 more children together now. There are 2 kids in her life, but I don't believe they're her biological children anyway, who she is also partially supporting. Those 2 kids don't live with them, but apparently they pay for stuff for this child. X and I started getting along better, but then his marriage was rocky. As his marriage worsened, he started treating me like a co-parent to all his kids. He'd bring his other children to custody exchanges and expecting interactions between me and his other children. Then it was requests to babysit for him and his wife, which I never did. Then it was comments about our boys' old clothes at my house being sent to his house for his other kids, and how we needed to make sure they had adequate clothing. I told him there was no we in that, and he said of course there is. We're co-parents. I said of our sure, but not his other kids. It was requests for me to have his children in my home or to take them out to eat with me and our kids. And finally, it has turned into back-to-school craziness. I bought supplies for the boys, and he told me I hadn't bought nearly enough for everyone. I was like, hold up. What's that supposed to mean? And he pointed out that what I bought wouldn't be possible to share evenly between all 5 children. I told him we don't have 5 children. We have 2. The 2 I bought those for. I told him I am responsible for our children, not his 3 others. I told him he has a wife. They share 2 of those children. The other is in their home, so it's up to them. He told me that I know they don't have a lot of money, and I cut him off and told him that still didn't make his children my problem. He said I can't possibly take care of just 2 of them. Not when we're co-parenting and all 5 kids live together 50% of the time. He said I should be a part of the community to help raise these kids, and keeping my distance like I do is so dang cold. Am I the a-hole? Some comments said, not the a-hole, obviously. Curious to how your boys find it at his house. With his entitled attitude, he is clearly a shitty role model. I'm sure it won't be long until the kids wise up and want to stay with you full time. They're nearly at the age where most places will take their choice as a major deciding factor. Not the whole. Keep record of the conversation and regain full custody of the kids if he can't take care of them. Not your kids. Not your problem. Not the whole. We don't have 5 children. We have to keep saying this until he understands it. You are not responsible for his choices. Does he expect the other parents of his children to pay for yours? He's being absurd. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister she isn't the type of person I want my daughters to look up to? Me sister and I are complete opposite. My sister doesn't have many accomplishments, and the last thing I remember her achieving is graduating high school. At 20 she dropped out of college because she was pregnant. She moved in with the father, and for 10 years they were a family. All that time she didn't had a job even when her son started school. Those 2 never married, and he left her about 2 years ago. She is now pregnant again. New dad isn't involved, works at fast food and barely scraps by. She is constantly asking for money. She actually wanted to move in with me and my kids. My wife travels a lot. I have 2 daughters, and my sister told me she wanted to be closer. She wanted to move into my home. That it would be good for the girls to have a woman they could look up to. She never liked that my wife travels. This isn't the first time she has brought it up, and I have turned her down politely many times. My sister brought it up again last night. I told her no. This resulted in a heated conversation with her asking why. I decided to be honest, and I told her that she isn't the type of woman I want my kids to look up to. I also listed the reasons above. She called me a jerk. Family is now on my ass about this, saying I was heartless to tell her that. They also want me to apologize. Am I the a-hole? Some comments said, ultimately not the a-hole. You could be polite but still firm. If she's insisting on moving in, something must be going on for her. Not the a-hole. Surprised no one's acknowledging that she said your kids need someone to look up to when your wife is in the picture. She can't disrespect your wife and expect for her feelings to be coddled. You've said no before, and she was pushing for a response. People need to be responsible for their life decisions. and you shouldn't be on the hook to house her and take care of her kids, not the whole. Granted, you could have phrased it better, but you aren't required to respect her poor life choices, nor can anyone expect you to just agree with her moving into your home.